This is my new Range Rover. And this is my new V8 broken engine. After teaching myself how to rebuild an engine from scratch due to an engine knocking in my 3-liter TD-V6 Range Rover, which I bought from the auction, I asked myself, what is my limit? So I bought another Range Rover 5-liter supercharged V8. It packs 517 brake horsepower. Just so I can challenge myself and expand on the knowledge that I already have. It would be a shame to waste all of this knowledge that I had from the 3-liter. And in the past few weeks, I struggled with taking the engine out due to stock fuel injectors. But then I used out-of-the-box solution to take the injectors out, and only then I successfully removed the transmission and the engine out of the car. But since this engine has a severe damage, I'm taking the next step in finding out what will be the fate of this Range Rover. Will I be able to put it back on the road and hear the roar of this supercharged 5-liter V8 engine? In this video, I want to remove the second cylinder head, inspect it for further damages, and only then explore what my options are with this engine in terms of fixing, replacing, or scrapping it. So let's put the engine on the engine stand and start disassembling it. So it is 2 days later, and as you can see, the garage is nice and clean behind me. There is no Range Rover above me. If you wanted to know more why and how, you have to see the video on the second channel. If you have already seen the video, then you know exactly what's going on. But let's go back to the main topic, which is the engine. We have to disassemble the engine. I will continue on disassembling the engine. Let's remove this wiring harness, and I want to discuss something with you, which is what we need to do next really with the engine, because we have multiple routes and multiple options that we can take and how we can move forward with this engine. I have listened to all of your advice, all of your comments, and one thing that all of you have missed, which we will discuss in a bit. First, I'm going to start removing all the wiring harness and cables from the front sensors. Next, it's time to remove the connections to the spark plugs. I am now removing the long plastic tube above the spark plugs. Next, it's time to remove the connections to the fuel injectors. And in the back, I am gonna remove some of these sensors as well. This is the fuel rail sensor. And now I'm disconnecting all the connections underneath the exhaust, including the alternator and the fuel. And this is the exhaust connection. So change of plan, I'm trying to remove the full wiring harness, and the exhaust is in my way. So let's remove the exhaust and then we'll continue with the wiring harness. I'm going to remove 2 bolts from the top and 2 from the bottom to remove the exhaust shield. Now I need to remove the exhaust manifold, and it's held by 8 bolts. And on the other side of the engine, I'm gonna disconnect the crankshaft positioning sensor and the oil level sensor. We've got the full wiring harness, and that is it. We're gonna pack it and keep it when we assemble the engine back. With the wiring harness out of our way, let's remove all the fuel lines. Now I need to discuss with you my options, or where we take this engine. As mentioned previously, all of you said, this is an easy job. All you have to do, replace the piston, replace the cylinder head, replace the valves, and fix this problem, fix the chain, fix and all of this and so on, and then put the engine back. And your experience, a lot of you actually did this job before, and your experience that the car ran for 2 years after that, or 3 and 5 and 6 years, and you're absolutely fine, which I totally agree with you. That's the perfect solution to fix this problem. But I think at this stage, the engine has done 120,000 miles. I think I should take this opportunity, and rather than taking the route of fixing the problem, I think I should disassemble this side as well. And yes, I understand disassembling this side means more, replacement of all the gaskets and all the rubber seal and so on. And that is easily adding 500 pounds on replacement of a lot of parts here. I understand that. But I think since this engine done 120,000 miles, If we were to actually refurbish the engine rather than just fixing this problem, that means we kinda well, we can't, but we kinda feel like have a new engine. And if we have a new engine, we can't do it, but it's like putting the odometer into 0 rather than 120,000 miles. So now I'm removing 3 bolts to remove the alternator. Now I'm removing 3 bolts for the right side idler. And now 4 bolts holding the right hand side engine mount. And there's a small shield held by 2 screws. And now it's time to disconnect the fuel hoses. And now I'm just gonna use the 17mm to loosen some fuel out. At this point we have to remove the plugs before we remove the high pressure fuel line, and before we do so, of course, we have to number the plugs so we can know how to put them back when we rebuild the engine. And 4 screws to remove fuel pump 1 and fuel pump 2. And the saga continues with removing the right hand side fuel injectors. Enjoy. With the fuel injectors out of the way, now let's start removing the spark plugs. And now I'm going to remove 18 bolts to remove the cylinder head cover. I'm going to remove the coolant hose with 2 screws, and I'm going to remove the oil filter and the housing. I'm removing the idler, this is just in my way. Now I'm gonna get rid of all these 4 sensors in front of me before I move on into the timing plate. So now we can remove the timing plate for the driver's side. Next, I'm going to remove the crankshaft positioning sensor. So now I think it's time for me to explain to you what happened to the engine, because a lot of you have commented and asked me what's going on with the engine, why did that happen, and is that a common issue? To be honest with you, this is my first engine on a 5 liter, so I do not know if this is a common issue or not. If you are a mechanic, please comment down below to tell me if this is a common issue. But I will tell you from my own experience in this specific engine. Now, we know, or if you don't know, this is a crankshaft and these are camshaft, and there's 2 more camshafts here. Behind each camshaft there are 8 valves on each side, so 8 and then 8, so that means 16 here and another 16 here. And they are timed. The pistons go up, the valve go down, and they're timed, they go that way. Over here, what happened with us is they went out of timing. And because it went out of timing, the piston went up, the valves went down, and they touched, and they basically damaged each other because they're not supposed to touch, because it went out of timing. Now, how does it get timed? It gets timed through a chain. This is the chain here. It goes that way and that way. And there's another one that goes here like that, okay? These chains, they have tensioner on them. This tensioner through this pin here, and there is another one here if you see in the previous videos. This is from the previous video. Now, in my case, this pin over here failed. So because it failed, it stopped putting tension on the chain, and because there is no tension on the chain become loose, and because the chain is now loose, they're no longer timed, and it's as simple as that. Now, why did it happen? Is it something to do with the oil? Is it something to do in my case, I think it's to do with lack of maintenance. And the people who worked on the engine before, because I could see how the previous people maintained the engine. There are some missing bolts. There are some broken clips. There's a lot of things that is broken in the engine. And that is to do with the people who maintain the engine. They did not look after it. They're either not qualified to work on the engine, or they're qualified but bad labor. It's as simple as that. I'm not gonna hide it. It's just, it wasn't good enough. Or at least it's not good enough for me. So I think it's down to the people who maintain the engine. And this is servable item. I think it was not serviced. The pins are servable item. It was not serviced. Is there something wrong with the manufacturer? I do not think so. At least in my opinion, in this instant, okay? Again, if I'm wrong, please comment down below and let me know if I'm wrong. But in my case, in this instant, I could tell the engine was not looked after. Anyway, let's continue disassembling the engine. At this point, I need to remove the tensioner with 2 screws. And this is how the pin should behave. Next, I have to remove the variable valve timing unit, and it's held by 6 bolts. And it's time to remove the timing chain guide held by 1 screw. And now, of course, we have to remove the chains. And I think this is a timing fixed chain guide held by 3 bolts. Let's just remove it. There are 2 sensors on top of the cylinder head. We just need to get rid of them before we carry on. I always like to work clean, so let's remove the excess oil. And I don't know what's this called, but let's remove it. I want to make sure that the valves are at the minimum opening points, so there's no tension on the camshafts. So next would be to remove the camshaft, and to do so we have to remove the camshaft bearing. But of course, before I do so, I'm going to number them so it's easy for me to put them back when we reassemble the engine. And if you didn't know, I need to remove the pressure of them equally. So these are called tabs. They sit on top of the valves. I'm currently numbered them so I can put them back exactly where I took them from when we reassembled the engine. However, we need to use the feeler gauge to make sure the gap between them and the camshaft is correct. And now it's time for the big one, the right cylinder head. We're starting with removing the 3 bolts on the right, then 10 big bolts. And as you can see, I'm just undoing those big bolts slowly, so to remove the tension and to not warp the cylinder head. I'm just looking at pistons. I think we can get away with it. The pistons look fine, but piston number 7 is the only one we're having an issue with. And the driver cylinder head looks absolutely fine. No issue whatsoever. But the passenger cylinder head, of course, this is damaged. If you don't know what I'm on about, please watch our previous video. But that's really good news. What I am thinking, and I want to know if you guys think like me. What I'm thinking is to buy a second hand rather than trying to fix this one. Buy a second hand, send it to a machine shop, let them refurbish it, as well as let's refurbish this one. So we'll get kinda new 2 cylinder heads. And since there isn't much I can do at this point but to source the necessary parts, wish me luck, and I thank you very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to future videos if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.